Need to do one quick thing. I forgot to do it before I went out of the office. Okay, it's on the slideshow. So the Trans-Pacific Partnership, we call it TPP. Like if you go search on the internet, that brings up quite a bit. But it is the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement. So I think it's part of the strategy is how many different acronyms can we come up for the same thing. They call it TPP, there's TPA, I've even seen TTIP. But some of the things that, the phrases you'll hear out there, they call it NAFTA on steroids, and that it's a global corporate coup d'etat. So that's what we'll be speaking about today. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the environmental piece. Rich will be going into some depth on investor cases, and then Jim's going to wrap up with a little bit more of a high-level overview of the mechanics of like how is the Trans-Pacific Partnership going to get passed, what can we do to address concerns. Basically what it is, it's a secretly negotiated trade treaty where only 5 out of 29 of the chapters actually have to do with trade. And when they say negotiated, it's truly not. What's happened is anything like the corporations haven't been able to get into law, they can't get it past Congress because we the people speak up. We write our Congress representatives and they make a stand for us, and they won't pass what the corporations want. So that's why secrecy is such a big part of TPP. Our Congress, nobody in Congress except for Alan Grayson has seen the entire text. And then outside of Grayson, it's the 605 corporate advisors that have worked on it as well. So it's not really anything that anyone's negotiating. It's already been written, they already know what they want, and they just want to get it passed as quick as possible. The biggest priority in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, well, hands down, is corporate profits. Corporate profits is what we have to maximize. We have to conform our laws to help them maximize their profits. So just, like what she was saying with the announcements, the arguments that come up with, same thread here with the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The other big thing, I'm sure a lot of you are aware about Citizens United, it gave corporations the same rights you and I have to lobby our representatives, things like that. Well, TPP, forget corporate personhood, it gives the corporations the same rights as a nation. And then not only that, the participating countries that are participating in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and I didn't include this, but there's 12 of them right now, those countries have to conform their laws to help the corporate profits. If they don't conform their laws, then they're going to be open to a lawsuit. And that's truly us, the taxpayers, that will be paying that bill. So they're gonna sue us, and it could be federal, it can come after any government, so it could be federal, it could be state, it could be county. Concerns about the environment, concerns about labor, wages, none of that matters. Again, it's always corporate profit on top. This is a big deal with the environment because a lot of the things that they're targeting are things that were put in place to help environmental initiatives. So with labeling, they consider anything that might give a country an edge or products that is going to affect the corporate profits, so it's off the table. Made in the USA will become illegal if Trans-Pacific Partnership passes. So when Obama was talking at the State of the Union, hey, let's open up our markets and let's get some of our made in the USA products out there, it will not be labeled made in the USA. Environmental initiatives, and the buy local and buy green labels would also be outlawed underneath Trans-Pacific Partnership. And these are specifically to help the environment. They've been successful, they've been working. GMO labeling will also be banned under this. So labeling the genetically modified organisms. They don't want us to know where our food is coming from. They don't want us to know if we're eating genetically modified food. So that's something else they're looking at. On top of that, knowing where our food is coming from. We're gonna actually be forced to import more food under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, but we won't know where it's from. We won't know if we're eating shrimp from Malaysia. We won't know if it's come from Vietnam. We won't have the option to go in the marketplace and look for local produce and choose that over something that got shipped from another country. So, although tuna-free isn't something that's really addressed under the Trans-Pacific Partnership specifically, other free trade agreements like NAFTA, the label such as tuna-free, it's already been challenged in lawsuits, and the corporations have won the right to forbid that. So, with the GMOs, the impact there, not only is it the labeling, but if they don't want us to know what we're eating, they don't want us to know what they're planting alongside our property, they don't want us to know what's in our backyard, what chemicals they're using to grow that food, things like that. So it's gonna end up being a bad deal for everybody, for the animals, for the ecosystem, and it will filter into our water and us as well. And the other thing is, it's been proven, it's not only just like for example, if it's GMO corn, if it contaminates other natural cornfields, that GMO corn is going to take over the way that technology is designed. It's designed to eliminate the other competing, I don't know what the right word is, but if there's other natural corn out there, it's going to cross-pollinate and the GMO is going to take effect.
They call it a terminator function in the seed. It's like a terminator seed.
Because like what will happen is you'll have a field that will have both of them, but they're also dumping a ton of pesticides. So what's natural is going to get killed off, but the genetically modified will stay. So the species diversity goes down, not just with the crop itself, but also with the animals that surround it, that create the biodiversity. It's been proven in the farms and the agricultural lands that have GMO, where there might have been in a certain area, there might have been like 1,000 species of insects and bacteria and things like that. Now they can only see maybe one ant or one ladybug. So it's not just the crop itself, but even the entire ecosystem is affected. And on top of just the fact that, well, it gives them an excuse to, focus on pesticides, it also lets them, they're using much higher pesticide levels than would normally be used in conventional food. So there's an example here. On the Garden Island of Kauai, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, the chemical industry controls, and there must have been a number there, I'm sorry y'all. But, man, I think a whole big section I missed there. But what it talked about, maybe it's the next slide. I deleted something. So, in the next point, it talks about this here. We know that with Pioneer Dew Point alone, they've used 90 pesticide formulations that have 63 active ingredients in the past 6 years. They apply these about 250 days a year, and sometimes it's even 300 times, or 300 days in a year. And it's 10 to 16 applications per day. So it's not just that they're doing it frequently, but also massively dousing the land. My husband has a cousin right now who lives in Hawaii, and the land is so polluted from these practices that they have to grow, they're using aquaculture right now to grow their food in that. It's gonna take years for that land to ever recover and then to ever be able to plant on it again. And Hawaii is going through a huge battle right now with the GMOs and this pesticide stuff. I wanna say the first bullet point, I'm disappointed I deleted it because it had really good numbers of how the massive tonnage of pesticides they're using on a regular basis. The other big thing is Vietnam's one of the participating countries with TPP. They have the last pristine rainforest in the world. They have never had GMOs in Vietnam before. GMO-free Vietnam, it'll cease to exist. It will be forever changed if TPP goes through. That information came from a Huffington Post article, if you're interested in looking it up. This is from the Hive Ideas. I don't know if you've all heard of them. They're a local group, and they're working now on a fleet farming program, and it sounds pretty cool, but this is a graphic from one of their things. What it shows here is when we talk about food imports, which is the next topic, it has an example. 1 plate of food per person per day travels on average 1,500 miles. And what they did was they show us 33% of the global climate change can be attributed to food production systems. And that's what it is currently. But under TPP, we're definitely going to be importing, exporting way more food. And so those numbers are just going to go through the roof. I mean, 1/3 of our global climate change. And when we talk about these 12 countries, we're also talking about, I believe it's 40% of the global GDP. So it's a pretty significant part of the entire globe. Here's an example under NAFTA. Now this one is, comparing exporting to importing, but you can see how, in general, both of them have gone sky high as far as the metric tons of what we're importing. So there's no question it's going to increase the toll on the environment between the gas that they use and everything to transport. Fracking. Sierra Club is actually, you all are very involved with the fight against TPP and have been involved with these global trade agreements for about 20 years now, maybe even longer. There's a lot of good information at your website and you have a strong history. And there is a memo out there from Sierra Club on fracking. It's favored in the Trans-Pacific Partnership, and Japan, who imports the most natural gas out of any country, has recently joined the TPP negotiations. They need the natural gas. Again, corporate profit is king, so TPP argues that the corporations, it's not just that they have a right to the profits, but they also have a right to the resources that they pull up. They have a right to that, you and I don't. So if it happened in our backyard, that doesn't matter. And let's say, like, for example, we experience an oil shortage here. Because there's a corporate contract already with Japan, again, profits are first. It doesn't matter what's going on here locally for us. It doesn't matter that that came out of our earth. It doesn't matter that they destroyed the ecosystem to do it. Japan has a contract. Those corporate profits will be affected. So we don't get the gas, Japan gets the gas. Now, the fracking process, here's a little bit more specifics. Right now, the Department of Energy, if they are going to approve a permit for fracking, they have to conduct a thorough public analysis to determine if the exports are going to be consistent with public interest. Under the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the Department of Energy loses that authority. There's concern that there's going to be automatic approval of any permits to regulate, to export natural gas. as dirty as fracking is, the extraction process, which is what we're used to hearing about, you know, the earthquakes, the water going in the ground, the wells, that's one sliver of the impact of what fracking does to the environment. We have to worry about the travel from production sites, you know, where they're pulling it out to the coast to get it shipped, and what happens if we have, you know, an accident along the way. Environmental impact from expanding the old pipelines or even building new ones.